Are we live even? Bloody hell! Anyone here? Oh, hey, Morris! I think I was live, but I, I fucked up big time! I fucked up big time! Because on the streaming page, I was seeing myself, I was seeing the output from OBS, but I didn't really know that I have to start on YouTube, and when I went to the bench, opened the stream on my laptop, I saw that it's still waiting and waiting and waiting. What the hell? What the hell just happened? So I realized that even though I started the stream in OBS, I thought it would start automatically as soon as it got the signal, but I had to start it in YouTube. Stupid Carrie. And I was talking and talking and talking and talking, thinking that that I was live, but I was not live. It got recorded, and I think I'm gonna use parts of the recorded material because I'm recording it on my side. For some videos, I was talking about the vacuum tube manufacturing, the market, and I was talking about my personal story with Fran, and I was also talking about things with my Soemtron project, and I was even reacting to the chat, but the chat couldn't even hear what I was saying because it was not going live. Hi Morris, sorry for all that discombobulation. I guess that I was streaming into /dev/null for 40 minutes. It was getting recorded on my end. I could even see the preview on YouTube, but there's this start stream button in the upper right corner in the streaming panel in YouTube. I forgot to click that. Because last time I streamed, I started the stream without pre-scheduling, and it went on as soon as OBS started transmitting to the YouTube servers. Yeah, I will edit and release the parts, but yeah, that's stupid and funny. Nice to see you all. I guess that How can I check how many viewers I've got now? Yeah. Transmission status very good. Hmm. 6 viewers. I guess that there were quite a lot more of them before. Hi Chipmunk, nice to see you here. Oh, my queer friends were just having some hanky panky. Forgot to close the door because the room next door it's our bedroom. I have a lab in my flat and I live in my lab. I didn't. All right, hi kitties. That's now that you mention it, Chipmunk. Hello there, kitties. I'm Kerry, the vacuum tube witch, again on a stream. A Soviet GU-50 tube, and I was talking about the war in Ukraine and its impact on the vacuum tube market. Hi, Gary. Oh, you just finished on the RJ Notch channel, so I guess that he finished only now. I guess the same situation with Big Clive and Fran. That sometimes Big Clive can finish an hour past midnight. So that's not really coordinated. By the way, I'm still wondering about the logic behind the EEV blog streams when they happen. If they happen on Fridays. I know that all too well, but which Friday they happen and at what time? Because I remember when Dave started around 1 a.m. my time. It would be something like 23 GMT or UTC. But then Dave seems to have moved away from doing any regular YouTube streams. Yeah, apparently Ukraine was where most of the Nixies come from. Unfortunately, yeah. Because Nixies and VFDs in Ukraine, there was a plant or even maybe two, and with all the war, I don't think they are even operational anymore. I was also babbling about the global vacuum tube market with the war in Ukraine and all the sanctions, all the limitations put on Russia, where you know a few vacuum tube factories were up and running. Like the Svetlana in Saratov, like the reflector plant. I think that electroharmonics did and Softac brands they are quite popular among guitar players and audiophiles. They run on tubes made in Russia. With that supply cut off, I think the world has to do with very limited supply from JJ Electronic in Slovakia and from China. I don't know that about the production capacities of JJ. I think it would be an opportunity for them now with the Russian production being pretty much halted. I think that JJ could take the demand if they only could scale up the production. The problem is that they run on the machinery inherited from the old Tesla vacuum tube manufacturers, the Czechoslovak Tesla, not the Elon Musk's Tesla. And the chipmunk says, just don't tell them it went out live. Okay. 5 according to YouTube, 6 watchers. Yeah. Has Fran quit her live streams, or are they now Patreon only? No, they're not Patreon only, because I'm a Patreon on her channel. I know what's going on Patreon, and there's no live streams at all. I was wondering what's going on, because there was no message on Patreon. There was no post in the community section, and I really enjoyed Fran's streams, because I was always there. And Fran's channel has a special place in my heart. I've got a personal story to share about Fran. It goes back to the late 2000s, around 2009 or something like that, 2008. Because back then I was a lot more interested in fashion, especially in alternative fashions, gothic fashions, than the fetish and BDSM scene as well. And I was interested in corsetry. I did quite some reading on the topic. Found the Long Island Stylase Association, and then followed the links. I think one of them was for the Contour Concepts, the fashion business run by Fran, and I read her writings. I also think I read her writings on transgender issues, because back then I think I saw myself as androgynous. I was way before my social or medical transition even happened. Those are the modern times. Anyway, Fran was one of the people, the very few people that got me interested in informed in the trans issues, and also she did electronics, but then a few years, I think that a few months or years have passed and I forgot her name. And I remembered that there was this lovely girl from New York City who did synthesizers and corsets, and it turned out that it was not synthesizers but effect pedals, still audio electronics. I was interested in audio electronics and amp building and tube stuff when I was in high school, and and from then on, like I got into amp building in 2004, something like that, and yeah. Oh yeah, Rayburn, Dalibor, I know about him. I'm subscribed to his channel, I think. Yeah, Fran was a pioneer, and as for continuing my personal story about Fran, I forgot her name for a few years until 2020, I think, because I always remembered that there was a person like that, but I forgot how she was named, and any attempts I made to remind myself and to find her on the net were unsuccessful. I was even looking for the women in audio lists with a hope of finding someone who would match the vague description I had in my head. But I failed because didn't have that clue. And at some point in 2020, I was getting back into doing the audio stuff. Had some projects going on in my lab. And I found the YouTube channel named Flux Condenser Vintage Audio and Electronics, I guess. And it's a fun channel to follow and watch. I like it very much. And when I browsed through the videos on Flux Condenser, I found something about cats. I think it was an April Fool's video where Puckers, the lab cat of Flux Condenser, was zapped. I hope that it was not actually zapped. Hope that no cats were harmed in the process. But it mentioned Fran Blanche, and I thought that I hope it's her, and I went to her channel, checked her out, and yes, that was her. And oh please excuse me. Would you please excuse me for a moment? I don't get it, I'm asexual. Anyway, back to Fran. Yeah, when I found her again, I told myself that I can't make the same mistake again. I can't forget about her because she was important in in me becoming me, and finding myself in all this and coming to terms to who I am and moving on. Because first time I found her, it was in my pre-transition times when I knew already that I was not a man. But I saw myself more of a androgynous person, like I called it back then. The non-binary term was not really all that common, but yeah, now that the link was re-established, I became quite active in the community, and yeah, I share a lot of her views, although I am 36 years old and Fran is something like 56. She's 20 years older than me. And that's a vastly different perspective, because she transitioned in 1980s when she was in her 20s. And I started transitioning in 2019, going 24/7 with she/her pronouns, and then in 2020 I started the hormone replacement therapy, and now it's over 2 years after I started my HRT, and I can't imagine how I would live if not for that. Read in the chat. Meow, Alana. Hi, nice to see you here. Had some problems with starting the stream, but it's okay now. Alana is my real life friend, and we also do some electronics projects every now and then. Yeah, nice to see you. Yeah, I didn't have the right Google search terms. That's right. Yeah, Gary. I guess so, because it's quite a different perspective. If you're trans yourself, then you look at certain issues and at certain aspects in a whole different light, and without that perspective, you can be completely blind to someone being trans. Still better than being transphobic asshole that were so plenty of them back in the 80s. Now there's also some reactionary movement, like the transphobic trolls and haters and sometimes bandits in my country, in Poland. It's really much of a problem, especially with the government being against us. Then But then I think that the times have changed for all the queer and trans people for much better globally, at least when it comes to knowledge, because back then knowledge was so scarce and it was very inaccurate compared to what we have now. And thanks to that, thanks to all those misconceptions and the very limited views on what it means to be trans, I didn't even consider myself trans. And it was only through the development of knowledge then, water eroding the rock that I saw myself in a different light and accepted myself. There was some issues going on since I was a child, but it was not all that clear. Yeah. And yeah, the way I see it, that even though now there's a lot of fascists and a lot of pseudo-feminists that call themselves the gender critical, but yeah, they spread the old conservative biological essentialist bullshit that was debunked over and over and over again, but they still keep babbling that. And if that was only babbling, then that would not be much of a problem, but if that babbling informs and inspires the lawmaking and politics, it's becoming more of a problem, like in Sweden. Yeah. Makes me tired thinking and talking about it, but I think that for many years I will have to be some sort of an activist, even low-key, even like educating others rather than going for the direct action. No. I like direct action sometimes. Going to demonstrations. Yeah, politics, poly, we many, and ticks are blood-sucking creatures. Not to get into politics, because this stream is about electronics. And back to electronics, the vacuum tube markets I was talking about, the situation in Ukraine and how it affects the global tube market. I've read that Western Electric is starting again in the United States, but I guess that they're not going into the regular tubes like the ones you see here, the EL34. I guess that they would be focused more on the high-end audiophile markets with 300Bs and 2A3s, that sort of tubes that costs thousands a piece, I guess. And the problem with starting any vacuum tube manufacturer is that you can't really use old equipment because most of it is gone. Or in the factories that are working, like in China or in Russia or in Slovakia. But if you wanted to use the old machines, that would be a problem because of safety regulations, because you have to deal with high temperatures, you have to deal with asbestos, because fireproof fixtures for the glass, they were made of asbestos. You would have to have the skilled employees to do the manufacturing, and because there are no schools for the employees, and the factories are few and far in between, so going into an apprenticeship in tube making, it's really next to impossible. And even if you have a machine, you can't do anything without a skilled professional to run it and to maintain it and to adjust it. Same thing with printing type casting, like with the Linotype and Monotype machines. I am skilled in running a Monotype composition caster, and I'm proud to be one of the youngest operators of those machines here in Poland. But yeah, technology is not just machines, it's also people who can do anything with those machines. Reading the chat. Yeah, trans people are people. That's you can never stop stating that. Yeah, Gary says battery failure. He was wondering why he was writing gibberish. Okay, what's... Bats invade his house. To the Batcave! To the Batcave. Oh, Chipmunk, I was not really that much confused. I just saw myself somewhere in between a woman and a man. I saw myself as someone who is both one and the other, and I saw myself as androgynous. But as years passed, I had a lot of internalized transphobia or transmisogyny in particular, and it's not a surprise. Rising up in the 1990s Poland, it was. In fact, it was only after Anna Grodzka became a member of parliament, and she had a lot of bad shit thrown her way. She had to deal with lots of hatred. She's a fucking hero to me. Like Marsha P. Johnson or Sylvia Rivera were in the States. That's it's that caliber of heroism, because in the Polish context, she was the very first publicly visible, out loud and proud trans woman. And she's an absolute fucking hero to me. But before all the news about transgender people, they were very sensationalist, and they were focused on the surgical procedures for genital reconstruction, reassignment. So that's I call it the Christine Jorgensen syndrome. That that the discourse is getting focused on one certain aspect, and then a myth is started, a misconception that if you are transgender, then you have to want to kill yourself over the genitals, and you have to go through an operation. That's bullshit. That's fucking bullshit, and times have changed. The acceptance and the knowledge about trans issues has broadened a lot, and it was also mirrored in the medical classifications like DSM-5 and ICD-11. But it has also done a lot of good for the trans visibility and acceptance. But then there's a sort of reactionary movement that I mentioned. So everything has its silver lining and also bad sides. Yeah, turfs. Yeah, they're farts. Feminism appropriating reactionary transphobes. Now, get off my turf, you bloody turf! Yeah. Let's rant and rave. Politics again. Yeah, reading the chat some further. Yeah, sorry Chipmunk, I was talking and not reading. and yeah. The other 10% just didn't get the chance. Went to a boarding school. That is massively impressive. The Monotype thing. Oh yeah! My Monotype career started with 2014. I just finished a cargo bike project of mine I was doing in some place named the Watch Art Center that suggested that I should visit the Book Art Museum in Łódź, the boat city, my old city. I went there at the beginning of 2014. I wanted to do some maintenance stuff because electrical, mechanical, engineering, electronics, information technology, it's all my thing, and I went there, repaired a few things, and the late Paweł Tryzno, who was the founder and head of the whole museum's technical and crafts side. He gave me a tour of the place, and the most interesting room we went, it was a type casting lab. That workshop has 5 monotype casting machines. 2 of them are the so-called monotype supercasters that can be used for making the type and lead and rule for all kinds of manual typesetting. And the other machines are monotype composition casters. Those machines are much more complicated and interesting because they cast whole pages of text, cast as a series of LED type letters, character by character, row by row, all controlled with the perforated paper tape, 31 channel. It would be the 31-bit parallel interface. And no electronics, no electrical engineering, all implemented mechanically. The readout of the tape was done by passing compressed air through the perforations in the paper ribbon, as it was called. Then the pneumatic signals were directed into 2 blocks of miniature pistons that were risen and detracted, and when a piston was risen, it blocked the movement of certain jaws and levers, and that was transposed to the position of a square cellular matrix case with initially the initial design was 15 rows and 15 columns. It was then extended to 17 rows and ultimately to 16. Well, it was then extended to 17 columns and 15 rows, and then another row was added. And the selection of the matrix in the matrix case was done with those pneumatic signals. The perforated tape was prepared with a separate machine called the keyboard. It was a mechanical and pneumatic machine that not just transferred the key presses on the keyboard to combinations of signals of perforations, but it also did some mechanical calculations of the sum of character widths already entered in the row, and it was subtracted from the preset row length, and then the operator used a certain scale to read the position of wedges that set the width of a space, and it was all done in order to make all the rows, all the lines in the page of equal length. It was very clever, and pretty complex. And I kinda know how it works. Reading the chat again. Yeah. Yeah, in Poland I must be very strong. Well, living in Gdańsk, it's a fairly open city, but if I still lived in Łódź, I would be in a much worse place. Now the problem, the problems with my mental health, they mostly come from the hard times, the economic downturn that I have it very hard to scrape by, to even be able to pay the bills, let alone to buy materials and develop my lab. So I just have to look for any opportunities to get some free gear, and sometimes it takes looking for trash, browsing for trash to get some materials and old equipment. Just doing electronics on a budget tighter than Ethel Granger's laces. Ethel Granger, she was a tight lacer, that is a person who wears corsets every day as a certain regime to reduce the waist circumference, and she was she went down to let me look how much did she reach with corset wearing. Well, reading Wikipedia, Ethel was a plain, unsophisticated girl who wore the shapeless clothes of the 1920s. As a young woman, she met astronomer William Arnold Granger, whom she married in 1928. The marriage produced a daughter, Wilhelmina Granger. Her husband required Ethel Granger to wear a corset so that she would have a narrow waist. She wore it day in and day out, day and night, eventually cinching her waist to a circumference of 33 centimeters. Holy bloody hell, that's... Well, wasp's waist, it was not really... It was not even wasp's waist. She was a record holder, but I find it very problematic that she got into tight lacing because her husband pressured her into that. I find it very problematic because I think that this must be your personal choice. That it must be considered by you first and foremost. And I can't stand for anyone pressing someone else into doing potentially harmful things to one's body. It must be an informed choice. So not really a fan of how it happens. Yeah. Hi Stan. Welcome back. Yeah, no magic smoke yet. But, yeah, one moment please, let me switch the camera. Magic smoke generation device. Yeah. Not the band. Not yet. Anyway. We'll be doing mad science tonight. And unforeseen consequences mitigation device. Yeah. You all know that I'm a big Half-Life fan. Yeah, Chipmunk, I fully agree that that you hate this sort of thing, and it's for a good reason that you hate it, because it's certain values. It's about personal freedom, and I'm a fucking anarchist, and I definitely stand for personal freedom. I'm against violence. Yeah, whack a project. I hope I don't have to whack a mole on the chat, because a week before I had a sex bot on the chat. Didn't even expect that I would get one as soon as my first stream. Yeah. Slight technical issues, yeah. I streamed first 30 minutes into /dev/null. I thought that it would be way better than a week before, because last week I didn't have the audio drivers, the kernel modules for the USB audio interfaces in my microphones properly initialized, and you just couldn't hear me talk. And this time I got it right. The OBS was configured, and I thought everything was well, but I forgot to start the stream on the YouTube side. I had the live preview on the panel, but it was not being aired. Yeah. Her husband won't cook because that's the woman's job. Fuck the sexism! Why can't people just learn? Times have fucking changed! Of course, people are people. Let them decide their role. Squeak! Squeak! Oh, is it time for Mr. Ratman with the lab assistant? Here we go, Mr. Ratman. Mr. Ratman, the lab assistant. Okay. I will be moving on to the bench. Southern USA, I think I upset her by ranting. Sorry to hear that. But a good rant is sometimes the best thing you can do. Moving on to the bench. And when I'm at the bench, it's time to tell you something about the Soemtron project. Because I put it back together, like you see now, the keyboard, it's recombobulated. Turn on the power. The Nixies are coming up. It's pretty weird to me that some of those Nixies light up only after a certain time. And it's more of a logic problem than any capacitors. Anyway, if we reset the calculator and try to enter any number, it does not display it. And I have checked the keyboard itself. The signals from the keyboard are in fact decoded. I also checked the voltages. I resoldered the main board of the calculator. And it still didn't solve the problem. So it's gonna be a lot of discrete transistor logic debugging. This is the block diagram, then the logic diagram of the whole calculator. It's done in very strange symbols. Like if you look at this black circle, it's a symbol for an OR gate. The circle with the N letter in it, it's hard to see it. Let me get a close-up on that. That would be the inverter, and the circle, the white circle with a border, it would be an AND gate. Those rectangular symbols, they are flip-flops. There was also a monostable trigger, I guess. There was a Schmidt trigger somewhere. And this would be the S-stable trigger or multi-vibrator. So it's pretty much the diagram of discombobulation. Pretty hard to understand. I put it from the 4 pages I found in the in the manual for this calculator that you can find at soemtron.org. Yeah, zoom in on the symbols. Might get a better view on that. I also took some notes added them on the schematic. Yeah, it is indeed beautiful. And the more problems I encounter with this calculator, well, the problem is still the same, but the more things I try to tackle it, and the more I fail, the more I study the explanations in the instructions, and the more I study the schematics, and then the numbers here, let me zoom again. There's a lot of numbers on the schematic, like 49/9. That would mean that the signal is available on the 49th pin of the ninth board. There are 12 boards in the arithmetic logic unit. That's the whole ALU. And if I take out one of the boards, for example, the anode driver for the Nixie tubes, there's lots of diode logic on that. Those transistors are for the amplifiers, some capacitors and resistors. All those traces on the PCB, they were hand routed. No computer-aided design or manufacturing back in those days. It was all hand routed. And that's a thing of beauty. And the pins on the board, it's what you find on those connectors. They are numbered from left to right, and the numbers cover both of the connectors combined. So here you have 1, 2, 3, etc. 30, 31, 32, 33, and so on up to 62. So it's not the connector A, connector B. It's both of them combined because there are 2 on each board. They are treated as a single connector. Yeah, Chipmunk, what did you want to see? No, that cough is not something terrible, it was just because I'm talking and talking and talking and rarely drink anything. Yeah, thanks for reminding me to stay hydrated. And it's definitely not COVID because I was vaccinated to begin with, and I observed the safety precautions, limited contact, wearing a mask, and all that stuff. To the point that I could have a panic attack in shops when people were getting too close to me. And that's how I never got COVID. But I also have a suspicion that I might have actually had the very first variation of COVID back before the pandemic started. But I only treat it as a suspicion and not something to be certain of. I treat such rumors with a fair dose of skepticism. Bleach spray. Yeah, was being nice about the PCB, but yeah. As for the PCB, I'm showing it again, but still. Yeah, I'll hand out it. And the ferrite core memory. Brings back the memories of vintage electronics. The way it is put, it's pretty complicated and I don't want to take it apart. Unless I really have to do some work on it. Might also be doing some continuity check on this ferrite core memory, in case any wires got blown. I hope not. Yeah, Chipmunk, this is ferrite core memory. The real deal from the 1970s. Vintage stuff indeed. And yes, all germanium transistors. Germanium, not Chinesium. And not Americium. Americium 241. Yeah, reminds me of that story about that boy who built a nuclear reactor with Americium 241 from the smoke detectors. Sad story. Pretty tragic. And I'm absolutely sure that that the guy was also on the autism spectrum. Americium 241 transistors. Or maybe transistors! Yeah. Yeah, some real electronics. I really appreciate all the effort that went into designing such a complex device back in the 1960s, because the design was it was from 67, I think, to 1974 or something like that, if I remember correctly. Those calculators were made for almost a decade, and There's not a single integrated circuit in them. All discrete logic, discrete germanium transistor logic, and the ferrite core memory. And of course Nixies! Ain't that lovely stuff? Yeah, the radioactive Boy Scout. By the way, as for the ferrite core memory, I visited the Gdańsk Science and Technology Park, and the place has the Odra 1305 computer on display, made in Wrocław in the Elvro factory. Those computers, I called it mini computer because that was kinda the same generation, 1970s, and the 1305 series already uses the integrated circuits. 1304 didn't, it was discrete transistor logic. And I think that it also has the ferrite core memory as the RAM. The system that I saw yesterday, it was previously used in the railways, the Polish railways, for controlling the railway traffic control system, the signaling and all that stuff. It was disconnected, not working, but I found a record on this Odra in the website of the Information Technology and Computer History Museum in Katowice. And they have this very machine in their gallery. I wonder what it would take to get it back running for demonstration, because yeah, that's the thing that I mentioned, that you might have machines, you might have technology, but it's nothing if it doesn't work, and if you don't know how to run it. I'd love to learn the craft of running the Odra system and doing some demonstration calculations with it. Yeah, Drew, Nixies. Yeah, Nixies. Good night, Gary. And see the recordings of the stream later on for some destructive tests. Okay, so yeah, Chipmunk, what's the question? I guess that it will be time for some destructive tests. So Let me choose the camera. Here it is. Needs some adjustment. And we can see a tantalum capacitor inside. Those things like to stink if you push them too hard. And we will push this way harder because I guess it was a 35 volt rated capacitor. And we'll put something like 100 volts. Check the focusing. This is gonna be the best focus, I guess. And on this test chamber, I've got I got a switch to apply voltage to the device under destructive test. Okay, chipmunk. As for the telephone system in Poland, it was still up and running well into the 1990s, and in certain parts of the countries, even in 2000s, it was all post-diode with the Strowger and Pentaconta uniselector systems, the old way with the number dial. But then in the 90s or 2000s, this old post-diode system, it was phased out in favor of the tone diode systems. It was quite a disruptive change because all the subscribers had to replace their telephones with the ones that supported tone dialing. Quite a change, and of course the numbers did undergo several changes to cover the much larger address space. I remember that my phone number, my parents, was 52 13 92. Then it was extended to 652 1392, and ultimately what was the area code for intercity dialing, it became a mandatory part of the phone number. So while back in the 90s it was perfectly enough to dial those 5 digits. Then you had to add another 2, even for local calls. Some rich kid from London said it was scrap metal. I guess, yeah, the old exchange. By the way, Chipmunk, have you seen the Connections Museum channel? If you saw the recent video from Curious Mark, you saw the place inside, and wow, it's so bloody awesome. I wish I could go there and visit it. And even work there together with Sarah and Astrid. Those girls have the brains to be around my age and have such vast knowledge about the old telecommunication systems. Fascinating. And some battle in the UK, the one from Look Mom No Computer, and this museum is not obsolete. He's also a mad genius, and he has his own phone exchange. And I even suggested to both of them to make some old post-dialed PSTN system to voice over IP bridge interface and run a SIP trunk over the ocean to connect their exchanges together. Again, connecting the old technology with the new, like I do with Monotype. Hi, Big Guff Kitty. Nice to see you here. Yeah, Poland had Pentaconta systems. Indeed. Oh! UK still accepts post dialing. Bloody hell, ain't that awesome, by the way. Speaking of telephones, before I run the destructive tests in the test chamber, let me show you something. Not where I thought it was, but yeah, grabbing it. And this is the very first telephone that my parents had, the Bratek, which means pensy in Poland, the pensy phone. And it was made in 1995. See how sensuous it is. The dial. I even wrote the phone number of ours. Let's do a quick teardown to see what's inside. I love showing the the foreign public, the Polish devices. Because what I noticed is that in the English-speaking YouTube, it's mostly American and British and Japanese and Canadian devices, but smaller countries they mostly talk about their devices in their languages, which is pretty much of a barrier. This phone was made with a printed circuit board. Maybe I can take it apart some more and show you the PCB design. One screw and it comes off. Ain't that nice? Also hand routed. I would cut those wires shorter. High frequency transformer here, and the audio separation transformer here. This speaker, it's for the ringer because this phone, this version of the phone has an electronic ringer. Not the classic bell. Collectors network. Yeah. Yeah, Kitty. There was a big problem with starting the stream because I thought I started it, but it didn't actually go on the air. So I was just talking into the /dev/null. I thought I was on air, but I wasn't. There's always some adventures going on those streams. Oh, by the way, look, just look at the brass inserts. That's the thing that Dave Jones likes very much. Threaded inserts. And also the vintage LED. I even have some of them around here in my lab. pretty useful for vintage restorations. In those times, a single LED was almost an obtainium. Back in the 80s. It was a very exotic component here in Poland. And let's do the teardown of the handset. Those are screws, not bolts. No threaded insets in the handset, unfortunately. This is the microphone. And I already can see some problems with it. Good thing I took the look. And this is the earpiece. Then the speaker. Nothing really interesting to see here. Turn it back, and when you feel it has jumped over, then you can delicately turn it in the proper direction. Careful not to strip the thread. And the inside of the plug, because this was the specific Polish plug for the telephone system. Nothing very interesting here. So that would be it for the telephone. And the destructive testing commences. The voltage set is 100 volts. Are you feeling adventurous now? I think it blew the fuse. Now? Very interesting. It got hot. It got hot. What if I try some more? It doesn't wanna blow. Okay, still got some more candidates for testing. It is hot, but it didn't blow. Yeah, Chipmunk, I did do a little teardown of the Bratek telephone. Yeah, Usagi Electric, I like that channel very much. I'm a fan of him. And he has a great YouTube personality. Not just fucking awesome projects like the Centurion or the Wang Writer or the vacuum tube computer, but he's also very charismatic and has a great personality. And he is very active in the community on Discord of his channel, because that's also a thing I noticed, that for example Big Clive, I haven't ever seen Big Clive himself, neither on the official Big Clive Discord or the technical family Discord. I also haven't seen Dave Jones on the EEV blog Discord, though of course I have seen him on the forum. I think he does more chatting and community thing on the forum. But Nakazato, Usagi Electric, he is very active in his Discord channel as well, and I think it's a very good thing. Yeah, Chipmunk, watching at twice the normal speed. That's how I watch most YouTube videos, because I want to grasp as much as I can in as short time as possible. The HF suppression transformer. Yeah, I guess that it was for interference suppression, because this telephone was designed in the 1980s, and no one even heard about the DSR thing or ISDN or any modern developments on the telephone systems. All of it ran on old electromechanical switch systems. That LED, it's not ceramic based, it's got a metal color, but other than that, it's pretty much plastic, I guess. Though I might be wrong. That's how it looks from the bottom side. So yes, in fact, it might be ceramic. Anyway, back to testing. 470 microfarad, 40 volt. What can go wrong if I put 100 volts across it? Commencing destruction. There it is! Magic smoke! Stinking like it should. Yeah, 1984, but I guess it was in the more civilized countries like the UK or the US. And here are the effects of destruction. Time for a little failure mode and effects analysis. It blew it apart. Rather hot to touch, but not all that much. This is how I destroyed electrolytic capacitor looks like. There's some liquid residue on it. Nasty stuff. It goes to the beaker. Nasty stuff indeed. Frankly, I was expecting to be much more destructive. This would be an unknown part. Let's try to destroy it. Ventilating the test chamber. Test chamber ventilated. Why are your Wiha screwdrivers on my bench? No, those are not yours, those are Dave's. Just kidding. They are mine. I love those Wiha screwdrivers. They are quite nice to touch and quite ergonomic. Okay. This part doesn't want to go. Crank up the voltage. $300 volts. 300 volts across it and nothing happens. Yeah, they are Dave's, that's fine. Yeah, Chipmunk, I also do. I also love Knipex players. Also heard a lot of good things about NWS players, also the German brand. Might be checking that out. Okay, slight thermal effect. But no destruction. Test inconclusive. Let's check this teeny tiny 2.2 microfarad 63 volts. This is gonna be an instant destruction. Mad science is the best science. Come on, poof. Crank up the voltage. Some destruction happens. But it's shorted. Not spectacular at all. Let's see an effect of high voltage on a capacitor rated at 50 volts. go all the way up with the voltage. See if anything happens. Mad science is where the science started. Yeah! Then the money came into play and messed it up. Yeah, capitalism. Capitalism. Destroying things from the 70s. Okay, this didn't even get hot. Uneventful. Then nanofarad 63 volts. Also uneventful. .22 kilo ohm resistor. 1 watt power rating. At 300 volts might release the magic smoke, but doesn't have to. Let me think. That would be 90,000 volts squared divided by 22,000 ohms. That would be something like 4.5 watt dissipating on a resistor rated for 1 watt. Slow destruction is happening to it. It's getting cooked, but not blown. Although I think I can see some magic smoke. And it is especially visible after I turn off the fuming extractor. It is definitely the resistor type magic smoke, I can smell it. I wonder how long it can be kept this way until it gets completely destroyed. But those old MRT resistors, they were fairly tough. They could handle a few times of the rated power for for more than just a few seconds without failing completely. I like those resistors a lot. Oh, Chipmunk, Tiskia, it's a brand of beer from a city, a town named Tychy. I don't know if the brewery is the oldest in Europe. Never really... I was never really interested in brewery history. Time to pause the test, open the chamber and take a closer look at how the resistor looks like. It's burned. The enamel is gone. It's all burned. But it was 22 kilo, right? Just for the sake of curiosity, just look. Perfect. One watt resistor. Needs some case restoration. A VFD calculator. Also gotta take a look at the capacitors inside, because I've got some phantoms on the VFD, but 300s, it doesn't have the exponentiation or raising to the power. Divided by 22,000, 4.090909, 4.1 watt, not 4.5, but that's how the MRT resistor looks like after handling the 4 times rated power for a prolonged time. It's not really that bad. Of course, if I pushed it some more, I guess it would look way worse. But as we have seen, as we measured, it was still in a perfect condition when it came to the value. And those MRT resistors, I have a very good opinion of them because first they are metal film resistors, making them pretty much low noise. Second, they are reliable, and third, they are very mechanically durable. And that would conclude the main part, the magic smoke, the mechanical, the destructive testing. And it will be time to wrap it up. I'm gonna stop the stream at the full hour. It would be 3 AM where I am now. Yeah, those old resistors can indeed take a bashing. And let's do one more teardown while we are at it. One more teardown and maybe also a little recapitulation of this calculator. Where's the spudger? Where's the spudger? I'm sure I had it somewhere around here. Murphy's Laws in action. Oh, here it is. Spudger's gonna spudge. Come on. The spudger is a little bit soft. Take a screwdriver. It's coming apart. Comes apart pretty nicely. There is a transformer on the PCB. Also, probably hand-drawn traces. Might have a few cold joints. And those electrolytic capacitors here and here, they look quite dodgy. I will replace them. And this is the vacuum fluorescent tube, fed from both sides. The rubber parts on both ends, they have deteriorated so much, they are no longer soft. Remove all the debris. "33 microfarads, 10 volts. 4.7 microfarads, 50 volts. 10 microfarads, 25 volts. And another 10 microfarads, 25 volts. The integrated circuit that controls the calculator is marked LC1552-B, LC1552. There's also a number writing below it, 7509, but I think it's the LC that matters. And there are also two resistor ladders. And it will be a little project to get this calculator to run without any phantom segments. Yeah, throw away the belts, the Tecmon tip. The special always goes missing, it's a law. But this place is chaotic. I don't think that the law would have anything to do with it. I drink less than my viewers. Yeah. Yeah, hi Dan. We'll be ending pretty soon. Let's try to look at the function of those capacitors, because if one of them is on the power rail, I might as well use the larger value. This would be the ground. Negative voltage, positive voltage. Yeah, because there's a power converter on the board with the transformer. Otherwise, the VFD wouldn't have the plate voltage or heater voltage. And I guess that this 4.7 microfarad 50 volt, it's for the plate voltage. Yeah, the sputter is always inside the thing you are trying to fix. It's like those surgeons, those medical errors that yeah, surgeons left instruments inside the bodies they operated on. Yeah, this would be the positive. I think I can replace the 33 microfarad here with 100. Good thing that the PCB is marked with the positive and negative side. Might use this one. Way more handy. Okay. Let's try to replace this capacitor with 10 microfarads rather than 4.7, because I didn't find any 4.7. Time to test it again. Test it in the discombobulated state. Is there some phantoms? I will leave it for the later. A mini project. I think that resoldering the PCB, it will be the course of action, because I see a lot of cold or dodgy joints. And it is time to wrap this up, end the stream. My neighbors are not having a disagreement, just they want to go to sleep. Yeah, the blowtorch. If nothing else helps, then use the blowtorch. Back to the desk. It was some fun bench time. At least the way I see it. Over which hole to use. Yeah, it reminds me of that Looney Tunes episode with the portable hole. I guess that's where Aperture Science drew their inspiration from. Okay, so it's time to wrap it up and end the stream. I'm going off now. Bye.